Hello, I'm Paul Perrello, and welcome to the Philly Factor. In a city where an estimated 400,000 adults have less than a fifth grade education level, in a state where 1 of every 10 residents is an immigrant, the Center for Literacy has been there to help close the gap between the essential needs of business and the skills of Philadelphians seeking work. Now, for the first time, the Center for Literacy has a beautiful learning center to educate its learners on computers and in classroom study. Now the staff, volunteers, and the board of CFL workers can all be in the same space as the Learning Center, and everyone can learn and grow from each other. CFL has opened its new headquarters in Old City at 399 Market Street. That's the area of 4th and Market in downtown Philadelphia in Old City. Here to talk about the work of the Center for Literacy is JoAnn Weinberger. Joining JoAnn is volunteer tutor Kristin Davidson and learner Patrick Roundtree. And I would like to welcome you all to our program. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
JoAnn, I'd like to begin with you because the Center for Literacy has been around for a while. You've been the executive director for 25 years?
Correct.
So in that 25 years then, how have you seen, I guess, the mission of the center change, or has it changed?
The mission has changed only in terms of what it is that we teach and to some degree how we do it. So for example, we started out teaching only reading, then added writing because that was part of it. Math became very critical. Now it's computer literacy. Also workforce readiness skills. The learners coming to us are adults and they want jobs. They want better jobs. And in order to do that, they need an introduction to careers and what needs to happen in terms of actually getting a job.
Yeah. So when we take the interpretation of the word literacy, it's a very liberal interpretation because most people think of literacy is the ability to read, but it's so much more than that these days.
That's correct. It is a very broad definition because those are the demands for 21st century.
Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about how the Center for Literacy arrived on the scene.
So in 1968, there was a group of West Philadelphia community and church leaders that recognized there were jobs in the community for which community residents didn't qualify. And it was a literacy issue, and therefore the Center for Literacy was founded. Since that time, we've expanded, became citywide, doing some things in Delaware County, and it also started out as an all-volunteer organization, and now it has expanded with professional teachers, with information and referral specialists, and we've moved on from there. However, volunteer tutors are still very critical for what we do.
And we're going to talk about the work of the volunteer tutors as well as how people who are watching this program can get involved as volunteer tutors. What I want to discuss here is the fact that you now have moved to this new building. And everything is under one roof for the first time in perhaps the history of the center. I mean, you were out in West Philadelphia in a building, but it may have not been the most accessible or easily accessible building in that part. So what has this new building now at 4th and Market meant for you and the staff and the learners that come there?
What we've been able to do is to combine administrative space, which is what we had in West Philadelphia, with learning center space. And so it's state-of-the-art classrooms, computer laboratory, offices, and we're all together for the same mission.
And that mission is to teach, instruct people that need help?
Yes, and the mission statement is actually unleashing the power of literacy to improve lives.
I think you would agree, and I'll also ask our other guest here, is that literacy is taken for granted. We think we know what literacy means or what literacy is, but Patrick, in your case, literacy, or the fact that you were not literate, if you will, held you back for a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
A very long time. And since that, I came to come to school, I seem to learn more from it, and I'm doing real well.
So what was it like for you? Because I think it's important for people that are home right now watching this program who may have similar learning issues. They may have been gone to school and were passed from grade to grade to grade because they were just part of the system and moved through the system. What was it that gave you that spark that you knew you had to reach out for help?
Well, because I wanted to do better in life. Mm-hmm. And the only way I can do that was to learn to read. Mm-hmm. And to learn to read, it opens the world up to you.
Sure.
And if you don't know how to read, the world is closed to you.
Yep. So much so that you are so passionate about the ability to read is that you have now helped your own children and grandchildren, if you will. You're a young man. I can't believe you're a grandfather, but you've actually helped them now.
Oh, yes.
in learning how to read and stress the importance of literacy.
Yes, well, I always taught them that they need to read. And one of my granddaughters said, "Well, Pop, you can't read, but how you going to teach me to read?" Mm-hmm. So I buy a lot of different things, and this is how I teach them. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's a picture associated with words, and that's how I taught them to read.
Yep. I want to talk a little bit about Kristin, who is a volunteer tutor. And volunteers are really the backbone of any organization, and I'm guessing that's also the case with the Center for Literacy. What made you decide that you wanted to volunteer for CFL?
Well, I was retiring, and I wanted to do something totally different that I hadn't done in my life before. And I looked about thinking of what that might be, and I was always so grateful to have had parents who read to me as a kid, mm-hmm. pushed me with my homework and so on and so forth. And so I felt I had a lot of advantages that perhaps other people didn't have. I worked at a university, and I was working with kids who had a lot, and you were helping them get more. And I thought, no, I want to spend some time working with people who haven't had those kind of advantages, and perhaps I can help them a little bit. And I'd never taught, and I thought, well, no, it'd be an interesting experiment. So I made some inquiries, heard about the Center for Literacy, and came and had an orientation, 3 sessions, I think 3 hours each, and then it was sort of launched. And you feel at first, what do I know about this in order to be able to teach anybody anything? Right. But after a while you pick it up and you work with the person and you stay attuned to what the learner wants out of the experience, what interests him in Patrick's case, and it's an interesting, exciting process.
Yeah, now you are Patrick's tutor, correct?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
And before we went on the air, Patrick was very complimentary of you as his tutor, because I guess that relationship, that bond, Patrick, is so important because in your case, Kristin knows what it is that you're going through and what you might be struggling with and what you're excelling at. But the fact that you have this guardian angel there, or this buddy, if you will, that helps you through it, how has the process been with Kristin as the tutor?
Very well.
Yeah.
Wonderful. She's a blessing in disguise. And if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would be on the level I'm on right now. Mm-hmm. Because we done came through 7 different books, and we was heading into the book 8.
Right.
So that's a compliment in itself, which I have never been that far in a book. Mm-hmm. But now I'm beginning to read all types of books.
That's good.
And it wasn't for her help, I wouldn't have been doing that.
Yeah. JoAnn, that's got to make you feel so happy to hear Patrick's story. But Patrick is just one story of the many success stories of people that have come through the Center for Literacy.
That's true, and it's really our students and their successes that keep me going and have kept me going for 25 years. And those stories include the individuals who do get a job. It includes the immigrant who's able to pass the citizenship test. It's true of a parent or a grandparent being able to read to their child, so that we pay particular attention to the individual learner's goals. Why have you decided to come? Why is this important? Because among other things, we know adults walk with their feet, and we want them to stay, and we want them to achieve. And the way to do that is to match what it is they're studying with what it is that they want to do.
Would you agree that perhaps the biggest step or the biggest challenge for that potential learner is maybe picking up the phone and calling, walking into the building, or maybe even knowing that there's this thing out there called the internet, and they could log on to centerforliteracy.org, but they don't even know how to do that? I mean, that perhaps might be the biggest obstacle standing in their way.
Well, and in many cases, our learners often think they're the only ones. And it's not until they come to the Center for Literacy and realize that there are hundreds of thousands of adults in Philadelphia just like them, with hopes and dreams, and literacy can help them open those up and actually succeed.
When I was talking about volunteers and I was talking to Kristin, I saw you light up and smile because I said volunteers really are the backbone of any organization. And I guess with the Center for Literacy, it's so important that the volunteers are committed to embarking on this journey, if you will, with learners. So what type of person are you looking for? What type of person might this be the right fit for them to volunteer with the Center for Literacy?
Okay. Well, first of all, there is an educational requirement.
Okay.
So currently, in order to volunteer, you need a bachelor's degree or to be enrolled in a 4-year program.
Okay.
Second thing, you need to care. You need to care about reading, writing. You need to care about, what the learners are going to want to do and to develop that kind of relationship. We do ask for a 6-month commitment, and again, it's because of the bond and the relationship that gets developed. And we ask for 3 hours a week.
Okay.
And those 3 hours can be morning, afternoon, evening. It can be whatever fits the volunteer schedule. It can be at 4th and Market. It can be in a local library, as long as it's in a public place.
Okay, which I want to also stress here that while the Center for Literacy is located at 399 Market Street, there are some satellite locations where you run some classes, correct?
That's right. We run classes with professional teachers and also places where volunteer tutors meet with small groups, 2 to 3 people at a time. So it does not have to just be at 4th and Market.
Okay. Again, the website is centerforliteracy.org, and if you want more information, the phone number, which appears on the screen, is 215-474-1235. Kristin, I want to go back to you as a volunteer tutor for CFL. You decided to get involved then as a tutor for the center. What would you say to other people as a result of this program that may be watching right now and say, gee, this sounds like something that I want to get involved in? I mean, what type of recommendations, what type of advice can you give to those people who might be thinking about volunteering?
I think it's a really fascinating opportunity because working one-on-one with an individual and sort of staying tuned to what that individual wants out of the program, what their interests are, and trying to come up with ideas to make that 3 hours a week you spend together interesting and creative, and that they feel that they're learning and doing things new and not always doing things in the same way. So it's always a challenge. That's really exciting. But you get into it and you find that it's very stimulating, and you get totally wrapped up in the progress that the person you're working with is making, and that's very, very rewarding and exciting.
Yeah, you actually stole a little bit of my thunder because that was my follow-up question.